All right, hi, welcome to the second edition of Carvel Office Hours. This is being recorded and will be uploaded to our Carvel YouTube playlist. Reminder to please read and abide by our code of conduct while attending these meetings. And the purpose of this office hours meeting is just to have an open space for discussion topics and anything that you or anyone from the community needs help with regarding Carvel, or if you have any questions regarding the tool suite or would like help getting started with any of the tools in the Carvel tool suite, the maintainers are available in the office hours to help with anything you may need regarding any of that. So first up on the agenda today, we have bring back support for starlark multiline strings. And Helen, I think you said you.
Yeah. So as Aaron and I were kind of going through different GitHub issues in the backlog, we noticed this was open 6 days ago, and just wanted to bring to the table to the maintainers and see if there's something that y'all wanted to discuss about and decide on whether to bring back that multi-line support.
I can provide some context behind this for those that may not be familiar with the issue. So I had a question on how to use starlark's multi-line strings, like this example here. These 3 quotes signify starting of a multi-line string and the end of it. And so all of the white space in between in that example, starting with ASD1, should be preserved. So there'll be a new line and the next line and a new line and then like a number of spaces. Currently, the white space gets removed when using a starlark multi-line string and results in everything being indented the same amount. So that's what you see in that generates example. So this is because several months ago, we encountered an issue where when having a, if I remember correctly, it's a like new document start in between 2 segments of starlark code, the starlark parser detected an indentation error. So we use a modified version of starlark in YTT, which strips white space, hence why when you start a function, you have to end the function with the end keyword. So we wanted to basically remove starlark's indentation rules, since we use starlark a little bit differently. And as part of like removing that indentation error that happens from starlark, we removed the ability to have starlark multi-line strings because we removed the white space. So that's where this came from. This was something that we knew about when tackling that issue. It was considered in the solution to be a reasonable compromise. Don't have all of the details on why exactly we chose to do that, but yeah, so the story is then to add that functionality back. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Yeah, thanks for that, Carrie. And I just wanted to get a feel from the maintainers versus the maintainers whether this is something we want to support sooner than rather sooner or later. So yeah, that's kind of like the discussion I was hoping that or conclusion that we can get out of through this discussion time. if we think this is not important, then cool, we'll just put it in the unprioritized backlog and we'll revisit whenever.
I'll also just add, there is a workaround for this right now. So you can use a YAML fragment rather than a starlark function to preserve white space in multi-line strings. It's not as elegant as this. Basically, because you have to use a YAML fragment, you have to assign that multi-line string to a key. So then when you use that YAML fragment later, if you just want to get the string, you'll have to index by that key. I have an example somewhere in the public Slack channel. I'll try to link.
And I think this was brought up by one of the community members, correct, Carrie? I think that's how it kind of resurfaced.
Yeah, Filippo. I found the link here. I'll send it through the chat. And you can see the example of the workaround for that solution as well in that Slack thread. So I have thoughts on this. Like, there's a workaround for this solution, but the user experience is, I think, degraded. So it's not as easy as if we did support starlark multi-line strings. So for that reason, I think that there's a pretty, a pretty good reason to tackle this and try to get this feature back.
Yeah, Carrie,
Thoughts
I would
from-
agree. It seems like the user experience is not what's expected when we say that we're using starlark. And I think that's a pretty big deal, that the workaround seems a little more difficult to understand than just the normal function or multi-line string defined in the function. So I'd agree that I feel like this issue should be prioritized.
Do we have some kind of a solution for this, or do we need to still kind of figure out how to solve this?
The issue that this originated from has some considerations for like alternative approaches of how we can still keep or still prevent starlark indentation error and keep starlark multi-line strings. So there may be some more detail in that issue that will like provide like implementation considerations of like, how difficult this will be and that sort of thing. I worked on that issue originally, and I do remember that it's not exactly easy to kind of know what the implications of changing the starlark parser is right off the bat, since I think most of our time working on code in YTT is definitely outside of that starlark space. So yeah, I can't really say, but there may be some more detail on that issue. I'll try to find that and put that in the document.
Other thoughts from other maintainers? I could go ahead and yeah, put this in the higher priority column in the unprioritized backlog. Steven, you were gonna say something. Sorry.
I did just want to note one thing, that the in the two either cases there, that either indentation is preserved or the limitation is clearly documented, we have a sort of tucked away note in the YTT docs about the language that it is not white space sensitive. And to me, that sort of implies that if you have a multi-line string, we're not going to be preserving that white space. So I guess I'm just trying to note that it's sort of already done. We did take care of that either case.
Okay, so Helen, does it sound like you have an action item regarding this to move to a higher priority, or?
Yeah, I'll move it accordingly, and then wait for, I guess, some of the details that Carrie would add to this issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for y'all feedback here. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on, we have, should we support regex matching for images? Who put this in there? Do you want to speak more to it?
Yeah, I put this down. I thought it'd be helpful to have a conversation about possible approaches for this. So this issue details a use case for kbuild. A user wants to resolve an image reference to its digest form. And that image reference lives in a string. So I'll annotate here. The image reference is prefixed by some img arg. And so normally kbuild can detect image references based on this string starts with the registry that the image is in. Kbuild also provides a way to match images based on their key or other like specific configuration that you can provide to kbuild. But it doesn't currently support any type of regex matching that would be needed in order to match on this field that has a prefix of a string. So there were a couple of suggestions on how this can be done. If you scroll down a little bit, I think it's like the third or fourth comment from Dennis. Yeah. Dennis suggested that you can use a environment variable to reference this image, which then when this deployment runs, it will replace that environment variable with your image name. So that way kbuild is able to detect based on this key that's named value that this is an image reference and kbuild should resolve it to its digest form. However, the user pointed out that sometimes people don't have control over their configuration. So the configuration author wrote their template this way. Configuration consumer doesn't have the ability to modify that into an environment variable. So providing that functionality to match based on a string was kind of needed in this case. There were a couple other suggestions thrown out there that are really cool. Like there's this idea, I think at the bottom suggested by Dimitri, of like a solution that uses YTT. So you can modify this configuration using YTT to use a similar format that Dennis suggested, if you don't have control over the configuration. But my question is basically, what would it look like, and is it a good idea to just add a regex matcher in kbuild that would support this use case?
Is this the same thing that was talked about in one of the previous community meetings or office hours? Like, has this YTT function been something that's come up before? I think I remember something about that.
Yeah, it has. I can't remember the specific issue that it was brought up in, but it is a topic that I've heard throughout multiple of our tools of, do we want to add some type of templating engine to other tools?
Yeah. Or is that one cap? I forget. Was it cap weight rules? Or like,
Yeah, it was cap.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of that cap issue that we were suggesting this fix for, but it was a similar kind of idea where it was a break the glass feature of something that not a lot of people do, but if you are doing it, we're confident that you're confident in what you're doing. And so kind of giving you the freedom and the autonomy to do what you need to do with this feature that's really powerful, that YTT templating or some kind of regex that we could accept a YTT function for there.
yeah, I wonder if it's like I guess the specific ask here is about regexes, but like I wonder if there's some standard way to enable this across tools if it's something that keeps coming up, that talking about this in conjunction with the cap issue might make sense. If we decide to go like the YTT function route instead of just some simple regex or something like that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, if we're going to add a similar functionality to cap, then we should also think of this as a feature possible for kbuild. If I remember correctly, based on what Garrett said, like, the feature in cap is sort of a more advanced feature that we were talking about. So if you need some sort of YTT templating in cap, you're doing something that is a more advanced use case. For this example, this seems less advanced. We pretty much just want to match on a string. So yes, YTT has a regex library that would be helpful here, but maybe it's more heavyweight than we need. Like, kbuild also already has configuration that can be used to change how it matches images. So maybe we can just extend that rather than add something as heavyweight as templating.
How does that currently work right now? Like, is it just keys? Like it works by looking at keys and stuff?
I posted a link in the chat for the documentation on how kbuild currently matches keys. Nancy, if you want to open that up, it might be helpful to kind of view that all together.
This right here.
I posted a link in the chat.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's at the very bottom of that page, matching images. So you can provide a kbuild config file, has kind config. And if you add these fields, you can specify how kbuild looks for image references. I think this is the right documentation. Sources, image destinations, and image overrides. I guess this is the default configuration, what we're looking at right now. So I'm not exactly sure what kbuild supports today.
I think it's in these search rules. So yeah, so there's like a key matcher, which specifies like the key to look at, and then a value matcher, which says like an exact image name, an image repo, and I'm assuming the regex is just a suggestion of adding like a via regex here. But I guess is the issue about one specifically in an array? Okay, so
Yeah, I don't think that the fact that the image reference is in an array makes this more complex. I believe kbuild already knows how to
yeah,
match
there's
on
a
that.
section. There's a section for search rules in this doc. I don't know. Under the schema, which I think is more details more of how to do it, or like how to implement search rules.
Yeah, Nancy, if you can search this page for search rules, I think you'll find it. It's also under, yeah, perfect. I think it might be down. Oh, it's one word, sorry.
Is this correct?
Yeah, I think that's an example of it. But the actual reference is under schema. So there's a section, I think, up further in the stock. yeah. Under schema there. If you scroll down just a tiny bit, right there. Yep, thank you. Yeah, so these are the options for currently configuring how you can match on image names. So key matcher, value matcher, update strategy. We could add one that is regex matcher or something like that.
Would it just be something under the value matcher instead of image and image repo? You also have like a regex or something. So if a map item or index has a value that matches that regex, it selects it.
That's a great idea, yeah. So I'll take notes of this conversation and propose that in this issue. If people are curious or have thoughts, love to carry on this conversation in the issue and get to a point where, yeah, we feel like we can propose some solution to this. Thanks, Eli.
Great. Thanks, Carrie. That is the last item we have for discussion topics. Is there anything that anyone else has as far as discussion topics, or does anyone want to add something here to any help needed? I saw that we have Pete that joined us. Pete, I believe you work for VMware.
Had to find my buttons. Yeah, I do. I just wanted to join just kind of out of curiosity and hear the process, but also a day or two ago, I posted a question in the VMware Slack. There's a project that I'm working on involving taking a Helm chart and trying to find like all the possible permutations of image references for the purpose of trying to rewrite them for like seeing if we can find all of the image references, not just like the default ones, but for any values in like the values YAML, to migrate all of those references or all those images into a private registry. So I just kind of threw that out there and trying to see if the tools that y'all provide would work for that. I got some links, and honestly, I haven't gone through and read all the details yet, but just want to throw that out there.
I haven't seen the Slack conversation, I don't think. But do I understand the problem correctly where you say you have a Helm template and it has image references in it? You want to find all of those image references and collect them?
So yeah, I mean, like one of the things with Helm is that, you know, you could easily have, you know, it's like a MySQL, you could have like MySQL colon and then image, and then it's like the full image reference with the registry, the repository, and the version or something like that. Or you could have it split up so it's, you know, registry colon something and the image is something else. There's so many different ways that you could like reference an individual image. So I'm trying to find a way to extract all of the images that could be used by that Helm chart into a list. And then the second half of the project is to rewrite, either directly rewrite the Helm chart or the values or something like that, so that it can update to a different registry.
Do you have like an example Helm chart?
Not directly at this moment.
Okay.
It's early in the project, so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The one idea that we had was to ask the author of the Helm chart to provide kind of like a search path type query to say, okay, here's how you can, you know, executing this query against your chart will give us at least the path to the images that you've defined. And then we can use that as a hint to know how to rewrite them smart. But I was just kind of curious to see if there's any tooling out there that exists to find that without asking for, you know, modified Helm charts, to ask without specifying like that the Helm charts need to be written in a certain format, that we can kind of take anything from the community, or asking for extra work on the part of the Helm chart author.
Yeah, I think like K-build, sort of what we were just looking at, is probably the most helpful solution here that we've got. I think some of the cases you were mentioning might be a little more difficult or not able to be handled by K-build. And I think another aspect that could be tough is, like you're saying, collecting all of the images and not just one permutation of the possible ones.
Right.
Because I'm not sure that K-build can take in like raw Helm templates, because I don't think they're valid YAML.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Which means that like it would only be able to work on rendered templates, and in order to render them, you'd have to sort of switch the values around to get all different possible renders. So
right,
it might be a little limited in that sense as well.
it's interesting. Yeah, I'll still poke around with these tools because I think that there's a lot of good value there. Yeah, part of it was, you know, I see the work that y'all are doing, and I'm interested in it, and I'd love to see if it matches my use case too. So
Cool. Yeah. If they were YTT templates, I think Kbuild could do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I see in that thread, Natasha chimed in. I know that she is doing something very similar and was able to use the post render feature of Helm to basically resolve image references. I think that's because like during the post render stage, Helm has output valid YAML.
Mhm.
And then Kbuild is able to find those image references and update them. So it's, yeah, she suggested that. That's definitely something I'd look into.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, anything further on this topic? All right, do we have anything else that anyone wants to bring up before we end the office hours? Going once, twice. All right. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. Some really great discussion to be had. If you're watching this from home and would like to join us for another meeting or office hours that we have, we do have our Carvel community meetings every Monday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't make that, we also have these office hours that happen every second and fourth Thursday of the month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we hope that we do see you at the next meeting. Thank you. Bye.